Oh, hey, what's going on, everybody?
Oh,
Today,
hey.
today is Monday, April 8th. I almost said March for a second. April 8th, 2024. We're here to talk about episode 6 of the Survivor 46 season. Very interested to get all your thoughts, you and Gina and Kyle. And yeah, I'm excited. Let's get into it. All right. My name, of course, is John Dunphy Hussein. Still standing, my queen,
Aw,
Gem,
it's
who
a
has been
precious.
Deepest
has been voted out
apology.
of the game. Joined as always by my very good friends and tribe mates, Mr. Kyle Petty and Miss Gina Morgino. Still not standing anyone, which honestly don't blame you. Oh, here's King Ferris, the most recent Australian Survivor winner, is in the chat. Well, he says.
Ugh, we miss Ferris.
We do
Ferris,
miss
you have
Ferris.
no idea how much we're missing
Yeah,
things. All right, the whole reason why we're late is because I was sleeping. I was I literally wait to watch Survivor 46 until the night of, and I was watching after work and fell asleep, and that is why we're late. Because I was
yeah.
just happily snoozing on the couch.
CP99.
And Gina's texting like, "Hello, where are you?" And I'm like, "Where are you?" And well,
Yeah,
late. So
yeah. And there it is.
sorry.
There it is.
Yeah.
And we are Strat Chat, your favorite reality TV podcast. You can find us on the social media at Strat Chat Pod. We're on all the social media platforms. Find us. Throw us a like, a comment, and a subscription. Kyle is very tired.
CP boy.
And he would really, it would, maybe it would give him a little boost, if you all went and subscribed and commented and liked us and gave us a really nice review on, Spotify and Apple Podcasts and places like that. That would be really great. But yeah, we're here to talk about Survivor 46. Actually, we had an eclipse today. What did you guys think of the eclipse? Did you see it?
So here's where Gina's an idiot, because this whole week I certain that the eclipse was happening on Sunday. And
Oh yeah,
yesterday
you were wrong. You were wrong.
I had
about
a very lazy day yesterday. I didn't leave the apartment. I said, "Oh, well, I guess I missed it. Oops." So imagine my surprise today walking around my town and everybody's outside. Like, what the hell is going on? Oh, that's happening today. The eclipse is today.
Yeah, it was today. I was actually off from work today, which was very nice. So I was able to get a nice picture. I was out there on the front lawn. Everybody probably thought I was crazy, and I was very proud of this picture. So I'm going to show it on the podcast because
Okay.
whatever. Here it is. Here's my picture of the eclipse.
Ooh, fancy shit.
Right? Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Yeah. There we go. All right. So that's the eclipse. Kyle, what did you think of the eclipse?
I thought the eclipse was a bust. Who cares? I mean, I did go outside and I took a look. I had my eclipse glasses and I was all ready, and it's like, but I don't know. Once you look up, you can just see it, and you can see exactly what it looks exactly like any other picture you saw online. Like, did I need to go outside for the big event?
Once I realized that I had not missed it, but also I had kind of missed it because I didn't prepare, I was like, I'll see somebody's picture somewhere.
Yeah, I was like, who cares? Like, yeah, I saw it, but like, I wouldn't quite say it was something noteworthy.
I remember watching
Yeah.
the last, 2017-ish was the last one. I remember like going outside at work and watching that one with all my coworkers.
Yeah, that was the eclipse where Donald Trump decided to stare directly into the sun.
That's right.
All right, but anyway, that was the eclipse. Thank you, Island Frizz, for calling my photography stunning. This would be more exciting if it wasn't my sister. But anyway,
they didn't know that. They didn't know that. Also, to be fair, neither did we for a while. So
yeah, neither did I for a while, for like a year and a half. I love you, Mary. Thank you. Okay. Anyway, all right. Let's talk about Survivor 46. So in this episode, we saw Mariah get voted out of the game. We entered into this mergatory phase where the tribes are over, but we're not really at merge yet. And yeah, Mariah was the first victim of this coming together of the tribes. So that means my team took a hit for the second week in a row. Where's my graphic here? Here it is. Here it is. Let's pull up my team. There you go.
Get out of here.
Not the heart. Are you kidding?
I know.
What do you mean? I didn't put that there. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Shut up.
All right, yeah, I put it there. I put it there. I put it there. I love Gem. Yeah, not quite as disappointed that Mariah's gone, but still, it's a hit for me. You know.
Yikes! Sorry, girl. Sorry,
Yeah,
Mariah.
love you, Mariah. Ooh, ooh. But yeah, so that's who we lost in this episode. So let's talk about how we got there. We started out in this episode with Mariah kind of having to come in, being the only person that was left out of the Gem vote. And they've been like the vibe tribe, right? Like all about good vibes. But it was funny, like how it felt like things took a little bit of like a turn to me, even for them in this episode. And also for Yanu, because like things felt so much more positive with Yanu this time, but like it was interesting the dynamics between Siga and Nami now knowing that like their time kind of dominating is over and now they gotta meet up with everybody and figure out how to play the game in like sort of a new way, like kind of adjust. So like what are your thoughts on going into this merge? What did you think of this episode? Because we haven't been very high on this season. Like, did you think that now that we're moving to a new stage of the game, have your thoughts kind of felt like we might see an improvement in the season? Or, you know, was there anything super interesting, any conversations that people had that you thought was interesting? I'm very curious to get you guys' thoughts on this new stage of the game.
I mean, to your point, like I know we've talked a lot about how like the vibe tribe, like they're all getting along so well and it's so nice and it's so great. Great. I love that for you. That's not why I'm here. I am excited to now see like where the cracks are forming now that we are in merge and what it's going to look like when these people have no choice but to go to tribal and but to campaign against each other. Like now is what I'm excited to see where this goes moving forward because they've had no reason to be playing a strategic game this far.
Yeah, it's so like it's just wild to me that we're getting to like the halfway point of the game and like almost a third of the cast was just having their torches lit for the very first time with the tribal. Like it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I don't really have any real like constructive thoughts here. I'm still not high on the season. I really like I just don't really care. I know it just sounds so negative. Like I'm sorry, but like I just don't.
It's just again we're on the heels of 45, which was such a good season, and even like us three are on the heels of AU, which was such a good season. And now it's like just kind of like wah, wah, you know, it was like almost set up to fail.
We like Titans versus Rebels just ended, and like we were talking about how much we love the season, and like people have been saying it might be the best season of Survivor ever, and now we're just left with Survivor 46.
Well, even our like 45 last season was one of my favorite American Survivor seasons I've ever seen. So it's just crazy that this is such a wild departure from what we got last season. And yeah, Matt Blevins, you know, so I don't know specifically what it is that I'm not vibing with. It's just it's not the same.
Yeah,
I can't pinpoint what it is.
Yeah.
Honestly, I am having so little fun watching this that if people voted enough to just drop coverage of this show, I'd be on board. I would honestly just rather my Monday nights back than this.
I mean, technically, we could then do like a Monday night Big Brother Canada stream. And
no, I'd rather just have a free night. Yeah, just we're just canceled. Like I just
no, this is so bad. We can't do this.
Mikey is somewhere screaming into the void.
I know.
No, I'm here for whatever. Like you know, I'll participate in whatever. But like I'm really not jazzed about this season at all. Like I'm just not.
No, I agree. I totally agree. I wanted to also ask you guys, because this really was before we saw the tribes come together, but we did see Hunter complete the Beware advantage and get his idol. I saw a lot of like back and forth on Twitter about it because, and I get it, like Hunter was definitely under much more of a time crunch, but there was a lot of discussion about the way that Hunter was able to get his idol compared to both I guess it was a Tiffany and also Jem. Um, Obviously Hunter had a lot less time to find his, but he basically read the instructions and all he had to do was go and like sit on a stair and dig a little bit of sand up and find his idol. Like, did you have any thoughts on this? How the way he found his idol compared to the other two tribes?
Yes, I didn't really consider it until you said it that it was like such a vast difference, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just like another example of this. I just don't love this beware advantage. I feel like it's really weird and it's just I don't know. I'm not a fan of this at all.
Well,
This beware
also like,
advantage.
yeah, maybe he found his a little bit easier, but isn't that one of those things that's like set before we like it's not like, production was like, "Uh-oh, you haven't found it. Let's make it really easy for you." Like, didn't he have the opportunity to have found all of that earlier?
No,
Or am
because
I crazy?
Nami hasn't lost. So the only way he would have been able to get the instructions to find the
Oh,
idol
oh,
was
oh,
if his
oh, oh,
tribe had
oh, oh.
lost, and they didn't. So at the last minute, while both tribes were apparently on the boat on the way to Nami's island or Nami's camp or whatever, Hunter was like, "Crap, I got to go find it now."
I forgot that was a part of it, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was a little weird to me, but
Yeah, I mean, the only plus to that though is that at least it still kind of put a little bit of urgency to the search, like where everybody else had to wait until their tribe lost and had to rush to make sure I found it by the time we got to tribal. This still had that element of I have to rush before these boats arrive and announce this merge. So like at least to put a clock on some things to kind of speed the process up, but otherwise.
yeah, I hear that. Okay, another question I had for you guys. What did you think of Siga's strategy here? When everybody came together, they were very tight, including Mariah. And Tim, in one conversation at one point, was very careful to say that like the vote the vote to take Jem out was unanimous. Nobody dissented, and Mariah went along with that. And obviously, like we said, we saw Mariah go. So do you think it was a mistake for Mariah to kind of play along with the Siga tribe's strategy, knowing she was at the bottom? Like, would she have been better served by going in and saying, like, there are some cracks in Siga. It wasn't a unanimous vote. Tim is lying. I voted for Ben. I'm at the bottom. Use me however you want me to. I'll vote whatever way you want, rather than trying to say, like, no, we're all strong. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like she knew she was at the bottom, but didn't have the wherewithal to understand that that meant that like she was in danger in a merge type situation. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It was very strange that like she understood that like she was the only one left out of that vote, but it's almost like she thought that wouldn't matter when all of the tribes were merged. I don't know what her thought process here was.
Right. Because she only actually like revealed that evidence at tribal council.
Yeah.
And I feel like it makes it the way that it was presented, because everyone was so sure that Siga was so strong, it almost made it feel like maybe this is a trick by Siga to be like, no, look, there are cracks. Vote Venus out instead. You know what I mean? Like it seemed like it came across almost more untrustworthy. Whereas if she had just opened up about it earlier, she might have had something to work with. And Venus actually wanted to work with her too. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's see. I actually, since we were talking about Venus, I actually do want to ask you guys also, because Venus, Mariah and Venus's names were the two ones that were out there the most. And I still just don't really understand all of the Venus hate, honestly. There's a part of me that feels like some of this must be true if so many people are saying that they don't trust her. But I feel like, and I was saying this to Gina before, like, I feel like production then is doing a very big disservice to their audience, because I feel like I still haven't seen anything that leads me to believe that Venus is untrustworthy. So if
There's
everybody is
gotta
saying
be a
this,
lot we're not seeing.
right? Like if everybody is saying this and feeling this way, as the audience, we should be shown this at some point, right? Like,
right. It's like if you're gonna
bothering everyone,
if you're gonna include everybody talking shit about Venus, you have to also include the receipts as to why they feel that way. Like otherwise, it just seems like everyone's ganging up on her for no reason. But like,
yeah.
Because even in this episode, like, it's hard because she some of like her campaigning and some of her reads, she had good reads that I feel like no one was really listening to and they were kind of discrediting her. And I want to sit there and be like, oh yeah, she has some solid reads. Her social game is just bad, but I don't know why her social game is bad. So I don't know what she should be doing differently because we're not seeing the problems with what
Right. Well, and
she's
that's what's weird.
presenting.
That's what's weird too, is because at one point she was trying to talk to Mariah and Tim, and Mariah was like, "Oh, Venus seems like such a strong social player, yet everybody seems to hate her." So
I don't know where it's coming from.
but well, yeah, we're not seeing any reasons why anyone has to hate her. And I got 2 clips here from Tribal Council where Venus starts to talk, and I just want you guys to look at the facial reaction. And I do acknowledge that like the show is, CBS is going to edit this however they want, right? So like faces that they show us, reactions they show us might not actually match up with what people are saying. But this is an example of what we're being shown. And I just want you to tell me, because to me, I don't see Venus saying anything really crazy or bad here. Like it feels like she's just answering a question, and there's all these looks that we're getting from people in the tribe. So I'm just curious to see your guys' reactions to like the things she's saying and the reactions she's getting, because I don't think they really warrant like the faces that people are making. So let me know what you guys think. I have 2 clips. I'll play the first one. We can talk about it. I'll play the second one. Sorry, I played the wrong clip first.
I was like,
For you, Venus, can you still play offensively even though you're trying to make sure it's not you?
Oh, 100%, Jeff. You never give up. None of us want our names written down, but also, like, if the kings of the castle over there who already have their buffs say a name, you have to listen out for whether or not your name's being said.
Like, what did she say anything there that was like so out of bounds?
I don't think so. And especially because, the pitch that she was making before they got to Tribal was, if we lose Mariah like you want to, another woman is going home and the men are running the game. We have to vote out one of the men. And no one was hearing her out. So yeah, she's going to come in and say, oh yeah, the kings of the castle, like running the show. Like that's to me, natural response to what we're seeing happen.
Right. And I also just got, to me, the kings of the castle comment was just like, there are 6 or 7 people over there that are already, they're safe tonight. They don't have to worry at all. Yep. They have their buffs. They made merge. They're the kings of the castle.
And
like,
she wasn't calling out. She wasn't calling out any specific person either. It wasn't like she was like being like, screw you. You think you're running everything. Like she just said, like, there are people who are like very safe right now that just feel like they can delegate and we're all just doing it, which is true.
Like, I don't think that anything that she said there was any more like controversial than any other tribal answer that we got. And yet the reactions that we're seeing to it seem to just be like, oh, Venus is a snake. Like, I just don't get it. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think too. There was a point where Venus and Soda were talking, and I thought it was a weird moment because Hunter had gone off to look for this idol, right? And Venus, like you said, Gina, had a good read and kind of thought it was weird and said to Soda, like, where do you think his head's at? Because everybody had just found out about the merge. Where do you think Hunter's head is at? And Soda was like, I don't know. You got to ask him. And she's like, and Venus was like, okay, I just wanted to get your opinion. So Venus was like, listen, we used to talk all the time and now we don't anymore. Like, what's the deal with this? Mm-hmm. And Soda was just like very dismissive. And like, it was just very weird to me. And then the way that Tevin too, like people were asking Nami about like, oh, what do you think about Venus? And Tevin was like, no. But I still haven't seen anything between Venus and Tevin that she's done to him. So I still don't get it. That's all. Here's the other clip, by the way, from the Tribal Council. Venus is kind of like talking about her game, basically just says like, I hope, if players are as smart as I think they are, I think they're going to want to keep me. Which doesn't sound that crazy or offensive to me. And we get Kenzie like covering her mouth and like.
Plenty of times. A terrifying amount of times. But you can't let that get to you. I mean, realistically, I hope the people around me are smart enough to see the value I could bring to them. And if they're as smart of a player that I think they are, they'll probably want to keep me around over someone else.
What did she say there?
Yeah, I don't. I really
it seems like this is the reaction that Venus gets anytime she tries to approach someone or talk to them. And like, listen, it's not that I don't believe these people. Maybe there's something really untrustworthy about Venus. I just feel like the show has done an incredibly poor job of showing us.
And like, we have like this comment here that I saw come into that like maybe it is just the way that she's saying it. Maybe like she's a little too blunt for them and they're not vibing with it. But I don't know. I don't feel like she's really being that abrasive
Right.
in the way, at least from what I'm seeing. Maybe she is, but the edit isn't doing a good job of showing us that.
Yeah. And we've talked about this in past weeks. Like, there was a point where Tevin was like, yeah, I don't trust, I don't trust Venus. She's been running around this island by herself. And I'm like, well, she's tried to talk. We've seen her try to talk to you guys, and you guys don't acknowledge her. We had the whole immunity challenge where the cart rolled over her foot and she got injured because no one was listening to what she was saying. And I just feel like she's trying to talk to you and you are dismissing her. That's why she is alone. That's my read on it. And maybe I'm wrong, but again, I feel like that falls on production for not showing us the full story.
I implore the editors to show us what we're missing.
Yeah, and if we're not missing anything, and it's just all these people don't like Venus, then I still don't understand why. Like, I'd love to get an actual explanation on that, but yeah. So we had this immunity challenge, so we were back to teams, of course. We had 13 players. So we had 2 groups of 6, with Tiffany drawing the gray rock, which means that she was sitting out. So we had 6 people on the orange team, 6 people on the purple team, with Tiff choosing the purple team. That's where she was betting on, so that she could hopefully find safety, get to the merge, have her feast. But what was interesting was that these teams felt very lopsided, but I felt like the actual competition itself was very close. So the 2 teams were Q, Hunter, Tevin, Ben, Tim, and Kenzie. So we had 6 people there. That was the purple team. Charlie, Soda, Mariah, Maria, Venus, and Liz were the orange team. So 5 men and 1 woman on the purple team, 5 women and 1 man on the orange team. The purple team also had a very distinct height advantage. But the orange team killed it. They were right there. And there was a lot of talk. People were like laughing about how lopsided it was, but this was a super close match. Ultimately, the purple team did win. But, what did you think of this? Were you happy to go back to the team format here? Or did you want this to just be an individual immunity?
I didn't really care that it was team. That didn't really bother me. I will say I did enjoy that the puzzle, like everyone kind of had to have a hand in it.
Yes.
I thought that was a fun twist. I don't think I've seen that before. And if I have, then I didn't remember it. I didn't find it noteworthy. But I feel like this is the first time I saw people having to take turns on specific portions of the puzzles. I thought was cool. But I was turned off like right from the very beginning of this whole challenge because why do we have a sit out? Like, get the hell out of here with your gray rock, and like somebody has to just pick something. That's something that you do when you had an exit that wasn't planned or something like that. Like,
I feel like by the time we get to the merge one, there usually is somebody that has to.
No, there is usually that,
right?
And I don't like it. Like,
I don't like it
either.
either.
Let everybody play like that.
Or just like do the merge a week later when it's even. Like, just offset it by 1 week.
And that's the thing. Like, I totally agree with both of you. Like, that's what I want. Also, for some reason, I feel like the show thinks that it adds an exciting thing. Yeah. To be like,
and I can't help but be annoyed by that the entire time I'm watching. Like, it's stupid. I don't want to see somebody not playing. Like, I don't like it when we normally see it. How many sit outs? You got 3 people who stood out this week. It's like, this is so stupid. Like, just, I don't know. Like,
no, I don't like it either.
Right. And this, I also feel like this goes back to like the difference that we talk about all the time between our Survivor and Australian Survivor. Like, the Australian Survivor twists that we get are usually like pretty exciting and like can shake up the game. The twists that we're getting in Survivor 46 and that we've been getting in this modern era of Survivor feel just so gimmicky. like it doesn't feel like it actually like adds anything to the game. It's just like, oh, let's just throw in this random twist because whatever. Like that's what
Mhm.
it feels like, like so yeah, I don't know. And like it would almost be different because remember was it Xander that found that advantage? Was he the sit out in that one competition that like he was sitting on that bench and like looked
I
like
think
or am I thinking
I
wrong?
think
Was it someone
Xander was
else?
the one that was on the bench but didn't find it, and then the next season someone was on the bench and did find it. I think is
Right.
what happened.
Like if there
That like
was more
Xander
stuff
was
like
supposed to but couldn't.
right, right. Like if there was more stuff like that going on, right? Where it's like, oh, this person sits out, but the camera keeps panning to them because they're searching all around the
Yeah, yeah,
bench,
yeah.
being like, is there an advantage here? Like that would be a little different because at least it's like, okay, at
At
least
least
the
there's a
person sitting
reason for
out.
someone to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, no, that's that's not what happened. So yeah, I don't know. But the purple team wins. We had so that meant that it was who was it? God, sorry. So yeah, Q, Hunter, Tevin, Ben, Kenzie, Tim, and Tiffany were all safe. They got to go to the merge feast, talk about the targets they wanted to take out, and the losers, the orange team, which of course was Charlie, Soda, Mariah, Maria, Venus, and Liz had to go back to camp. No food, no safety, and just kind of think about what are these people that are immune. They're obviously talking about all of us. All of our
Mhm.
names are going to be brought up. So, and I thought it was funny to see the change that like you had 3 Nami players that were not safe, right? It was Soda, Liz, and Venus. And suddenly the 3 Yanu players are sitting pretty.
Yeah.
All 3 of them are safe. They're like critical to this vote, and pretty much have most, if not all, of the power in the game at this point. Like they can really swing decisions here. So I thought that was pretty exciting. But yeah, at the merge feast, what did you think of the fact that like Nami was very willing to throw out a name, and Siga just like did not want to say anything? It was interesting to me. I don't know. I feel like you would have been more prepared going into that. Like, we're gonna have to say something. We're gonna have to give a name. So like, let's get on the same page, or like Sega felt very unprepared to me. Like this Vibe Tribe feels like they're not battle tested.
Because they haven't had to play
Yeah.
yet. Like, they don't
Yeah.
know what they're doing.
Yeah, and like Nami, like they haven't really been battle tested either. They hadn't been to tribal at this point. They'd only lost one player due to the medevac.
Oh my god, I forgot they
in
didn't even
Randon.
lose him to a tribal.
Yeah, but they still seemed more ready to play than Sega did,
Yeah.
who at least had been to one tribal. So I don't know. Is the dynamics of this cast is like all over the place. Like I really have no idea what direction this could go in. I feel like a lot of it is going to hinge on this +1 alliance, though, which that's a whole other topic of discussion because we know that Hunter and Tevin, they're on the same page. It seems like Q and Tiff seemed like they were on the same page at this point, even though we'll get to the next on because that looks interesting with Q and Tiff. And then, of course, Tim and Maria. And Q at one point went to Maria to talk about this, and we found out that Maria has not even been approached by Tim to tell her about this alliance.
Which is so stupid. How are you
Yeah.
going to throw out somebody's name as your number one? Like the person that you're hinging on, and then not tell that person, oh, by the way, you're a part of this because I decided you're the most trustworthy person.
Right.
Yeah.
Which just kind of just leads me to believe then that like that's not who he should have selected in the first place. Now I don't know who.
I,
would
mean,
have been-
I was surprised when he did because I feel when I think of Maria, I think of Charlie. I don't think of Tim.
Right. I would have assumed Ben. Although there's a part of me, because if this alliance is going to become a thing, and I will say that this is literally the reason why I was happy that Tim picked Maria, which is that I was very nervous that this was going to turn into like an all guys alliance.
Mm-hmm.
So I was happy when Q said Tiffany's name and Tim said Maria's name, because I said, okay, at least we've got a little bit of a split here between men and women. Because I was like, I could very easily see, obviously Q can only pick between Tiff and Kenzie, and we know he's closer to Tiff, so he's going to pick her. But if Hunter and Tevin are together and Tim and Ben are together, like that's a weird spot for Tiffany to be in. she's just in this alliance with all men. Like, I don't know. I don't know that, like, I wouldn't have liked that alliance as much without Tiffany in it. Like, it makes the alliance more palatable to me with having Maria included in it, even if
Sure.
it's weird that Tim picked her in the first place. But yeah. So, all right. So I guess we should talk about once the merge feast ended, everybody's back at camp, right? Obviously, the scramble is happening. We know that Mariah's name is out there. We know that Venus's name is out there. And Venus starts to go around and say, hey, why are we trying to take Mariah out? She's not a threat. We should be getting like Charlie out or something like that. What did you think about Venus's gameplay here? Do you think she did anything wrong? Because there was one thing that really bothered me about this scramble, and it's that Venus had one conversation at the water well, and she expressed her opinion. And we talked about this early in the episode with how it seems like everything that Venus does or says gets blown way up and made into such a huge deal. All I saw in the conversation that Venus had at the water well was, I don't think Mariah is a threat. I'd rather go after Charlie. And then not too long after that, we see Q running down to the beach to talk to like Hunter and Tiffany and Tevin. And we see Q going, Venus said she doesn't want to vote any women out ever. And it's like, no, she said for this vote, she doesn't want to vote out Mariah because for some reason, Mariah, who can't even jump, is a huge threat.
Right. But then he also said, like, he was like, oh, well, the only two names that are out there are Mariah and you. So if you don't want Mariah, then it's gonna be you. And it's like, okay, A, you didn't tell her that. B, like, all she did was say, hey, maybe instead of this person who I don't find threatening at all, we should use this moment to our advantage and get rid of someone that will be a problem later.
Right.
Which is a normal campaign. Like,
and like, it's weird to me, like, and Q did mention in a confessional, he was like, yeah, there's 7 women right now, 6 men. Venus wants to get out another man, so it's going to be... But I'm like, it's beneficial for you to keep Mariah in over... You think Mariah can beat you in the end? Like,
right.
I'm sorry. Charlie's got a better chance, right? to beat Q.
And
like,
Charlie, you know, again, like, they just got merged, so they're not seeing a lot of this, but like Charlie is so well insulated. His social game is so strong. Like, he is I do not want Charlie to go because not only is he on my team, but I love him. But also, like, that is somebody that you need to cut. He's going to be a problem later.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I want to get your opinions. And I'd also like, if Matt Blevins is still in the chat, his opinion, because I know he is a very knowledgeable Survivor fan, because there was a point where Q was having a conversation with Mariah. They were talking about game and all that stuff. And Mariah had brought up a player from the past that, you know, that she was a fan of, that she was influenced by, a player named Aubrey. I am not familiar with Aubrey. I haven't gone back far enough. But it was weird to me because, like, this isn't a name that I know well. There's a plenty of names of Survivor players that I do know, even if I haven't seen their season,
right,
just because they were such iconic players. I personally don't know Aubrey's name. Maybe I should. But Mariah told Q that, like, she looked up to Aubrey as a player, and Q started going to people being like, Mariah said she wants to be like Aubrey. I can't trust her. She's going to be deceptive and she's going to be a snake and this and that. And I was reading an article being like, okay, so as a Survivor player, who are you allowed to say that you like? Is it Parvati? Is it Sandra? Is it Sari? Is it, you know, like Boston Rob? All these other players in a game of deception, outplay, outwit, outlast. Are you allowed to say that you're a fan of anybody? Or are you
even like Parvati was
targeted?
Because Parvati was a big problem for Venus too. Just because someone said, "Oh, she's pretty," she's probably like Parvati. Like, all of these people, like, I feel like there's no good answer to this question other than, like, because it's either you're gonna say the name of a rando and you're gonna be like, "Oh, what benefit are you to me? You don't actually even know this game if you're gonna say that person's name," or you, like you said, you idolize one of the strategic players and then you're gonna play like that person. Like, what do you expect my answer to be if you ask me what players I like?
Right. Like, do you expect me? You're gonna ask me who's my favorite Survivor player, and I'm gonna name some first boot from 20 years ago.
Right.
Like, what do you want me to say? Like, what name do you want me to say here? Like, I'm clearly gonna. If you ask me who's my favorite player, I'm clearly going to say somebody who made big moves and is a very consequential player in this
Yeah.
game that people like. Like, I'm not going to give some random name of some crappy player. Like,
Yeah, but should you? I mean that's an interesting thing because like I don't know that I would want to be saying anyone who is actually good strategically because then one could infer that I might be trying to model my game after them.
But
So
if you give a bad answer, people are gonna think you don't know how Survivor works, and then they're not gonna want to work with
good.
you. But
Yeah, well, yeah, but like, are you sure that you decided that you definitely want to work with them? Like, maybe it's better that people do think that you don't know what's going on, and then you shock them later. That could certainly be better than painting yourself as a potential threat in the beginning.
but
You
I just
know?
don't think that saying like, "Oh, I like this player," makes you a threat. Like,
Ah. Well, I mean, don't you think I think it certainly makes you more of a threat than if you said you like some throwaway player.
yeah, but who's going to say a throwaway player? That's the thing. Is that anybody that's asked this question is going to be caught in the
Well,
same trap.
maybe somebody smarter. Like, I mean, like maybe it makes more sense to say, like, hey, my pick somebody who was an early boot, and just say, I just really like their personality, so I was rooting for them. Like, shouldn't you know a little better though than to be picking somebody who is a strategic mastermind? Like, I wouldn't go into any conversation
But
saying
is
that Suri
Aubrey?
is one of my.
And that's the problem with not knowing Aubrey is that I don't know that she's some kind of strategic
Oh yeah, she
mastermind.
is, and she's played like more than once.
no, I
Like,
was gonna say we were told that we definitely should know Aubrey, but
yeah, yeah, she's
sorry.
she's a tricky one. I mean, she's no Suri or anything like that, but but wouldn't your threat level go up if you say, "Oh my gosh, my favorite player of all time is Suri"? You're gonna be like, why? Oh boy, like
Yeah,
It's
but I
so
feel
fun.
like
Like
that's
maybe
I
such
you
try
a
to
take a
common.
step
I
back.
feel like that's such a common answer, though. Like that would be like people. Of course, everybody. Like I mean, like think about all the Survivor fans, and like think about the percentage of them that like certain players. Like everybody loves Suri. Everybody loves this person or that
It's so
person. It's
funny
like
because even like I think about it in terms of like going back to our world and like we see people all the time like, oh, who's your favorite Big Brother player? Oh, I love Dan Giesling. And that is never the person that everyone's like, oh, we gotta get rid of him. He said Dan Giesling. Like everybody loves Dan Giesling, you know? Like it's just like that's like a name that people are going to say. And I
right.
feel like I've
Like it's
never
not,
seen someone get targeted because they said they love Dan Giesling, you know?
right. It's not like you've seen this person pull off any moves like that player. They were just like, oh, I like
Right.
Aubrey.
And I think that Big Brother is a little bit different because you don't have people who return as many times as these other players did and
That's
have
also fair.
similar success. Like Dan played twice, and yes, he did get to the end of his second go, but he played a game that was so unique that trying to emulate something like that would have to almost be like the perfect storm.
Mhm.
You say like, oh, my favorite player is Janelle, or my favorite player is Rachel, where a lot of the reason why they were our favorite players is because these were people
They were
who,
messy.
yeah, and they also had their back against the wall though, and the real way they kind of started to shine was really because of comp wins. So that's not really something you can model your game against unless you
Yeah.
also have the chops. I feel like Survivor is a little bit trickier because you really don't have to win any competitions to really be successful. Where in Big Brother, I feel like, unfortunately, even though they're carnival games, like comp wins tend to be a little bit more important than some of your social stuff
No,
in
that's
terms
fair.
of like returnees anyway. Um,
I'd be curious to look at like
yes, Xavier, I did.
I'd be curious to look at actually as a comparison, like recent winners from Survivor, recent winners from Big Brother, and how many comp wins they had. You know what I mean? I'd be
Mhm.
curious to look into that sort of thing. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation. I don't think that anything that you said was wrong, Kyle. I thought in the moment watching it, I thought it was a big leap, being like Mariah, this girl who last week needed a training montage to learn how to jump, suddenly
Well, not
becomes this.
everybody knows about that.
No,
Right.
no, of course. But I'm just saying, as an audience member, watching that and then being like, okay, Mariah said the name Aubrey, so now she's the biggest threat on the beach. It just felt like a very big leap to me. That's all. But and yeah, and I'd be very curious to see if she had said like Suri or Sandra or Parvati,
Yeah,
what
but
would
I think
what would Q's reaction to that have been? Would
the
it have
other
been
side to this, though, is that like you have to also keep in mind this is the first time they're all meeting each other. Like they didn't know each other. Like,
Mhm.
what would your impression be the very first time you walked into the Big Brother house and somebody says, "Oh, my favorite player is Dan." Well, I might
Right,
have
like
eyes on you
the only
because
insight that I have to
honestly?
you is what I've seen in the immunity challenges, which maybe you've sat out of 3 of them and
right.
Right. But honestly, if I walked into the Big Brother house and somebody told me their favorite player was Dan, I'd be like, "All right, so you're like 50% of the Big Brother fandom. I like Dan too, so all right."
Right, but if you're receiving that information at the same time that you're receiving that kind of favorite player information from everyone. Like this is a situation, like you said, you've watched multiple challenges. This person has always sat out, but you're now citing somebody who was very strong strategically in the past as your favorite player. So all I have to go on is the fact that I have not seen your physical prowess
Yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah, yeah.
And like now you're here saying that it's like, oh well, maybe that's what you're trying to do. Maybe you don't give two figs about these challenges. So uh, I have literally nothing else to go by other than that and the fact that you're still here.
Yeah.
No.
No, that's fair.
You know,
Absolutely.
I wonder if that
Definitely.
even would have been if you would have taken that differently had you been on the same tribe from the beginning.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Would I still have found that so worrisome?
Yeah. No, it's definitely fair. All interesting. That's why I just wanted to have a conversation about it because it's an interesting thing.
Hmm.
Okay. Let's move on. Where are we at? Um I don't know actually. I don't even know if I have anything else to be totally honest.
I feel like it was a pretty cut and dry episode.
Yeah. I feel like we talked about Tribal a lot already, where we saw Mariah make her big push to kind of stay and reveal the truth that she hadn't voted with the rest of the tribe, that she had voted for Ben, like Jem had,
Mhm.
and she was at the bottom. But from what I saw, it looked like when the votes were read out, Venus only had one vote. It looked like everybody else had voted for Mariah, right? Is that what you guys saw? Were you surprised at all by that Venus didn't have more votes? I only saw her name once, from what I remember from the ending of the episode.
Mm. I mean, honestly, I I have kind of like the unfair version of this here because I thought I had saw a spoiler. Hi. I thought I had seen a spoiler online which led me to believe that Venus was the person going home. So
Hmm.
I, in my head, assumed she would get all of the votes. Like, especially seeing the way that the tribal was playing out people's responses to her, I was like, oh yeah, of course she's going home. So I was surprised no matter what. So I don't know what I would have like expected had I not gone in already assuming she was leaving, you know?
Right. Because honestly, the way that the edit made it looked like we were between Mariah and Venus. It seemed like then we were like pretty set on Mariah. And then people started getting pissed that Venus was like, no, I don't want Mariah to go. I want Charlie to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it seemed like things might start flipping on Venus. That's what the feeling that I sort of had. And that's why I was surprised. There was a part because I knew that Mariah went home before I watched the episode because I didn't watch it live.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, like the way things were shifting towards Venus leaving, I almost was sitting there being like, does somebody play an idol for her or something?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what's
yeah.
happening here? But yeah. Oh, Eric here says, I figured Venus was safe after Mariah spilled the beans at Tribal. Sega wasn't going to keep her after she blew their cover. Which, yeah, makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
I have to go back and watch the rest of this episode because listen, I fell asleep right before Orange lost. So
Miss Brown Sugar says, I was surprised that Sega rolled over so easily. No fight in them at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what it was for me too, was that like I'd be pissed that Mariah spilled the beans, but like without being able to talk and like with the rest of my tribe and be like, do we still want to vote this way? I don't know. I guess I was surprised that Venus didn't at least get one or two more votes. I guess that's all.
Yeah. I had a thought and I lost it, and I don't remember what I was going to say. And it's very
Aw.
annoying. I thought of something, then I get distracted by Eric's comment.
Something about Tribal that happened at Tribal, that was said at Tribal.
It's going to be one of those things that I'm going to remember at 3:00 in the morning when it's not helpful to anybody. Damn, that's a bummer. I have no idea.
Maybe we're not leaving yet, so maybe you'll think about it. Oh, Eric has another comment here, actually, saying, "I wish Venus had a better approach to them after Trolley, because taking out Mariah when she's at the bottom was pointless." I totally agree, Eric. I totally agree.
I remember my thing.
Oh, there we go.
There was a lot of discourse on Twitter that I was seeing because we saw, because it was because we were talking about idols. That's why I got. Okay, I'm here now. I remember. Mariah tried to play her shot in the dark. Famously, did not work. And I saw a lot of people on Twitter being like, the more that I watch this show and the more that I see Shot in the Dark get played and not work out, the more I feel like Caleb's Shot in the Dark moment had a lot to do with production interference. And I was curious if we think there are shenanigans afoot, because we have literally never, not once, seen this twist work any other time.
Right. It was Shot in the Dark. It happened in this episode?
Mariah played hers, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
she did.
It did not work.
Shocker. Listen, y'all, I done told y'all that I thought that whole Caleb thing was fishy.
But it was so satisfying.
Was it though? I don't find I don't find those things so satisfying when I think there's shenanigans behind it. I mean, that Shot in the Dark felt very Pandora's box.
I wanted to believe it was real so bad.
Nah.
I know Eric's not buying it. Production definitely gave him the right scroll. And I will say, Caleb was definitely the most likable person on that cast. So I would understand why they wouldn't want to let him go.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't even know about it. He picked a scroll, production changed it, gave the right one to Jeff. So Caleb thinks, yeah, I did get it right. You know what I mean? Like, nobody told him pick that one. It was just he picked.
Well, yeah, they're all like a little thing.
Yeah, he picked a random scroll, and production gave Jeff the one that said safe. That's what I feel like could have happened in there.
Oh, it did work one other time. Okay, you're right. It worked one other time, just wasn't fun.
Right, or all the scrolls just say the same thing. But like, if this person plays their Shot in the Dark, we like them enough. All scrolls say safe. It doesn't matter what you pull. We don't know. I want to see production hold something up, not safe. Roll to side from that. Roll to side. Bop. I want to actually watch the process. No cuts, no nothing.
But all right. Well, I think that's all I had for this episode. The next episode does look like it could start to get interesting because we are officially merged now.
Every week.
I know. But
next week's gonna be different. Next week's gonna be different.
Well, here's the thing. Here's why I'm interested, and I got to tell you, things just in general are not looking very good for me personally, my team, because I've lost 2 people in 2 weeks.
You have.
On the next we saw Tiffany and Kenzie potentially showing signs that they'd be willing to work against Q. It looks like Tiffany in particular was upset, being like, "We're not here to play his game," So
we need.
So Venus's name is already out there, which is not good for me. Q's allies are turning on him, which is also not good for me. And aside from that, though, we learned. I'm curious. Actually, now that I'm thinking about this, I didn't even think about it until right this second. In the next Jeff told us that we're going to see 2 people leave in the next episode.
Oh, right.
2 people get voted out, which makes me angry because we were just officially merged, and I feel like we should be having one tribal council.
Yeah.
And I just realized, we're going to have 2 separate tribal councils again, aren't we? Where
probably.
We don't get to see this. We got this last season, right? Where it's 2 small.
episode.
Yeah. So Jeff told us 2 people are getting voted out, so I can only assume that means that these tribes are going to get separated, which means one will be at Nami, where the merge started. One of them is going to be sent to Siga or Yanu, and they're going to have 2 separate tribal councils. So we're still in this tiny tribe phase of the game.
Boo! Tomato, 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 tomato.
Honestly, and the worst part about all this to me is the fact that Jeff tries to sell this shit as something that's worth watching. You know, because he always goes, "That's right, 2 different tribes, 2 different tribals. You guys are in the game. The game is live," and it's like, just stop it. Just stop it. Stop with all the shenanigans, all the hijinks and tomfoolery. Just play the game the way it's supposed to. Put everyone together, 1 person at a time, and that's it. 2 challenges, no more journeys, no more crap. Give everybody their fucking flint, and let's just play Survivor.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, like I don't get it. Like, and you know what? Maybe I wouldn't hate the 3 small tribe format as much if when we got to merge, we were actually merged.
Right.
But the 3 tribes finally come together, and we get 2 episodes where they're still separated for some reason.
Yeah.
I mean, at the very least, in this episode, everyone got to go to tribal. They just weren't all eligible, but they were all still there, you know? But I don't know why now when we're all here, the next episode, we're no longer all here.
Right. But here's the thing that bothers me. I know that we were all here, and I like that because it's a big, it's a big tribal with a lot of people, and they're all talking. But more than half of the people at this tribal were ineligible to be voted for. So it's still like it's a full tribal, but not really. You can only vote for 45% of the people that are there.
I'm so sick of it. The redlining.
Yeah, Miss Brown Sugar, these twists are not fun. Get out the way and let them play.
Yes, please. Just give me a bare bone Survivor.
Yeah,
I don't want
Eric.
no twists. I don't want no hijinks.
I don't want
give me the
any
game.
of this. Just stop it. And stop trying to sell it to me. It's almost like you're trying to convince yourself. You know, like when you be telling you something crazy, be like, maybe I can make this work. If this, you're trying to convince yourself.
You're trying to gaslight yourself into thinking that it's
yes, I feel like that is what Jefferson is doing at this point. Like we are just out here just trying to convince ourselves that this is litty titty, and it's not. just do what you're supposed to do and play the game the way it's supposed to be played.
Yeah.
I thought you helped develop this. Where's Charlie Parsons? And what does he have to say about all this? Like, I feel like he'd be like, this is not the game I designed. And Jefferson would be like, well, sorry. Drop the 4 and keep the 1. Like, I'm just so sick of it. I'm so sick of it.
But all right. Anybody have anything else for this episode?
Well, Gina would like to go over the stats because Gina once again did very well in this episode.
Oh, yes. You're very right. I'm an idiot. I forgot. Because
Mike is not here.
Right. And after we talk about this, there was something unrelated to this season, but Survivor related, like recent Survivor related, that I wanted to talk to you guys about. So we can get into that after this. But first, let's pull up how everybody's teams are doing. I think was Team Morgino the winner of this week?
I believe
They
so.
were. I believe Team Morgino was the winner.
My team is doing great. I'm very happy.
My team's not doing so shabby.
I'm not saying anybody's team is doing bad. I'm just saying Team Morgino.
No, I know it. But if you're going to say something good about your team, I got to slip one in there for me.
Yeah. Team Morgino got the win this week, followed closely behind by Team Petty. Just 2.5 points separating you both.
That's right. Only thing Petty is our name.
Mikey and I had a pretty rough go this week. I only had 21 points. Mikey got 16.
Team Marmot is always having a rough go.
Yeah.
I will say though, when you consider the fact that I still had 3 players in this episode because Mariah was in this, she got voted out, so I'm only have 2 now. But I had 3 players coming into this episode. Mikey only had 1. So the fact that he's only 5 points behind me in this episode is a little alarming. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
Though Team Morgino Dunphy did beat Team Petty Marmon in the battle for the unwanted draft picks.
It's so disrespectful.
Listen, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying that we did a draft and nobody picked them, so clearly nobody wanted them.
I'm sorry, Ben.
No, we do love you, Ben. We do love you now. We
I guess
judge a
we're not
book by
sorry
its
to
cover.
Liz, huh? Wow.
Well, because Ben is ours, so I have to apologize to him on our behalf.
And Ben was the most unwanted because didn't we get to pick first?
Yes.
You did. Yeah, Gina and I were gifted Ben. And what a
Gifted.
wonderful gift it was.
Well, you can keep it. Glad you're happy. Merry Christmas.
Honestly,
Oh,
at
man.
this rate, it's going to be me and Mikey just with the unwanted picks left. because I wouldn't be surprised if Q or Venus left next week. So let's see.
I mean, listen, all you need is one.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Um,
Gina has to believe that because her Canadian draft is not going
We're
to
not talking
Yeah.
about the Canadian draft. We're talking about how well my Survivor draft is doing.
Well, we're
Okay, I
actually
was
just-
due for a clunker.
We're just talking about how unsuccessful you are somewhere. So
I was due for a clunker, but here is not that. Okay.
Eric says, "I can't believe y'all didn't pick millionaire Liz Wilcox."
Millionaire.
Yeah, she can't stop talking.
We
about how
never
much
did a
money she
challenge
has.
draft, by the way.
No, we didn't. I was
Oh,
thinking
we
about
still
that
got
before.
time. We still got time. We can do a text draft. Okay. So, what's the next graphic to pull up here? We can look at. Okay, these are the individual totals. Hunter's killing it.
Hunter's
for
working
season
so
totals,
hard
yeah.
for us.
Hunter and Tevin, and they're working together, which could be dangerous, honestly. The fact that they're working together, I feel like they're going to become a big target, especially Hunter. But he did have.
Wait, can you just go back for a hot second?
Sure.
Just the fact that Mariah is still under Randon. And she was in what? At least one extra episode, if not two?
And the fact
we
that
were giggling about that last week too. I think.
Yeah, it's just even worse. The longer Mariah stays in, the worse that looks.
It gets even worse when you consider that Jess and Jolinsky were both voted out before Randon got
right, and they
medevac,
have more.
and they both have more points than Mariah.
See, I didn't even really totally pay attention to that because they're already gone. But you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Yeah.
Even Banu has more points.
Well, Banu had a zillion confessionals, so like that
Right,
tracks.
right. Yeah, because we know the confession is the point system for anyone that's interested. How we get these points. And yeah, Banu had a ton of confessionals, and I think Mikey said that people get points for crying, which we know Banu did quite a bit of.
Cried
So
at least 3 times an episode.
yeah, this particular episode, though, if you're interested, if anybody watching is interested or listening, even though you can't see this, so you should go and find us on YouTube. This is the breakdown here. You see Mariah at 10 -1s. I don't even know what that was for.
Vote
I wish
out,
Mikey was
probably.
here. I wish that Mikey was here to explain all this.
Well, I think that's the vote, right?
Well, she didn't get 10 votes, though.
Did she not?
I didn't think so. Maybe. I don't know. It's possible.
Because everyone was able to vote, even if they weren't eligible to be voted.
Well, Hunter didn't vote because he lost his vote. And Mariah didn't vote because... So there was, there's 13 people. So there were 11 votes total. I guess you're right, actually. If Venus only got 1 vote, yeah, Mariah would have gotten 10. That makes sense. Okay. All right. Okay. Anything else for this episode? Episode 6 of Survivor 46.
I don't think so.
All right. The last topic I wanted to bring up with you guys actually has to do with the Survivor 44 contestant named Carson Garrett. Have either of you seen any of the drama that's been going on with Carson on social media?
Yeah, I a little bit.
Okay. I did see this first on Twitter. I saw somebody start a thread. It was this company called Outplay Puzzles that creates and sells Survivor, themed, influenced puzzles. This person was accusing Carson of being very sort of dishonest and kind of stealing their ideas. And I didn't really think anything of it. I honestly was on Carson's side and was against this outplay puzzles person until this article started to gain some serious traction. I saw it on Yahoo. I saw it on Us Weekly. I saw it in a number of other places. I got the article from Us Weekly, and I'm going to read some of it, not all of it. But I'm curious to see, because there was a big deal made about the fact that Carson was practicing these puzzles by, making 3D printouts of them and having all this knowledge of this and, really, really like preparing for the game very well. And, at the end of the day, I don't want to say that like Carson is definitely wrong here or he did anything wrong, because I don't know for sure. But it's interesting when you see, some bigger outlets, media outlets, start to pick up this story. So, the article starts out: Survivor 44 contestant and fourth place finisher Carson Garrett was best known going into the season as the NASA intern who prepped for the show by practicing on 3D printed puzzles often used in competitions. The show presented the puzzles as having been 3D printed by Carson Garrett, but several sellers on Etsy have claimed he merely purchased them online. A company called Outplay Puzzles is now accusing Garrett of stealing their puzzles and marketing their ideas for his own business. Outplay Puzzles posted a lengthy thread via X in which they say they met with Garrett for coffee, and Garrett later used almost every marketing tactic that was suggested to sell his own puzzles. Garrett launched his puzzle company, PuzzleKnot, in December 2023. So the way that this story progresses is that apparently, because Survivor was showing some of these 3D printed puzzles that Carson was saying he printed out, Outplay Puzzles decided, oh, Carson is giving us a boost. He's showing our puzzles on Survivor that we sold to him. So when the show was over, they decided that they wanted to try to offer him like a paid,
like a sponsorship,
like a partnership sponsorship type of deal. They met with Carson, apparently, had a meeting, thought it went well. And then Carson apparently started his own business and took all of the ideas that Outplay Puzzles had talked about with him and used them as his own to launch this business. A whole Twitter thread was started. At one point, Carolyn was actually responding to defend Carson, but people were calling Carolyn out because apparently it was known in the past that Carolyn had a tough time dealing with some of the she was getting sort of like an onslaught of messages. People loved her. I'm sure some people didn't like her. So her social media accounts were blowing up. Carson apparently had the password to her accounts and was helping her sort of manage it. So there were people, while Carolyn was responding to this Outplay Puzzles, who was accusing Carson, there were people actually taking screenshots of Carolyn's tweet saying, Carson has my password, being like, this is Carson on Carolyn's account defending Carson. Like, he's defending himself using Carolyn's account. So there was a lot of like back and forth about this. I didn't know what to believe. Like I said, I didn't really think anything of it. I kind of thought it was all bullshit until I saw articles coming out on like Us Weekly and Yahoo about it. Like, it seemed like this became a much bigger deal. I don't know. Any thoughts on this?
I mean, even until you said it just now, I still this whole time did think that he had printed his own puzzles that he practiced with before he went on the show. I didn't realize that he'd gotten them from somewhere.
I thought he did too, because I thought he said that. But I also, when you're talking about something like that, kind of like marketing things and whatever planning you had for how you're going to market a certain product, I mean, like, it's very, very hard to sit here and say who has the rights to any one idea. When you're sitting there and you're brainstorming with people, it's a collaborative effort. Like, you'll say something that makes me think of something, and then that extra thought makes you think of something, and you're kind of bouncing back and forth. So it's really hard. It's so dangerous to have those types of creative conversations before you actually have a deal to be collaborating together. I wouldn't be so. Yeah, I wouldn't be so quick to say that, Carson was definitely wrong in this situation. he had a conversation and like ideas were exchanged and maybe he just moved on them. I'm certainly not saying that is definitely what it is. I
Mhm.
only heard of this now from you. I've read nothing else.
Right, we weren't
Right.
in the meeting.
Right.
Right.
Just from having my own creative projects on the side and have sat at a table discussing things with like 5 other people. Can any one person walk away from that table saying, "Oh, these were all my
You
ideas. This is
springboard
what
off of each
we—"
other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's what brainstorming is. So,
Sure. So there is a little bit more that I wanted to just fill in from this article, just to see what you guys think. So towards the end of the article, it mentions that Outplay Puzzles alleged that Carson and his company, 1 month after their coffee meeting, um, they launched a product selling 2 of Outplay Puzzles' most popular puzzles, which is a question that they claim Carson specifically asked and like made sure to ask during their meeting. Um, then it says that when Outplay Puzzles tried to congratulate Carson on his launch and ask, how does this affect our partnership? Can we still work together? They discovered that Carson had blocked them on social media, the Outplay Puzzles company. It also then goes on to say that apparently Carson and Carolyn went on to an Instagram live video together where Carolyn was talking about how much she hated the puzzles that Outplay had apparently sent her for free.
Oh.
Also, I will just add, Outplay Puzzles says that they're not alleging any illegal activity on Carson's part, but they just noted that it seemed like these were unethical practices. They were trying to work with Carson, and it seems like everything since then has been this deceptive sort of thing. It's like, listen, let's work together or not. Like, if you want to use some ideas, that's fine, but don't sell the puzzles that I'm making as your own. And I guess that's the thing. But at the end of the day, I don't really know who's wrong or right. We don't have all the facts. Like I said, the only reason I even brought this up because I saw it on Twitter a few weeks ago, or maybe a week or two ago. Thought it was interesting. Was like, oh, this person's just being an idiot. They want to get attention for their company, so they're accusing Carson. And then all of a sudden, it popped up on my feed that it was an article on Us Weekly and Yahoo and Entertainment Weekly and other places. And I was like, is this a legit story? Is Carson being a dick here or what? So I just wanted to get your opinions on the things that I had seen. That's all. Because we were big fans of the Tika 3, Carson, Carolyn, and Jam Jam. So it's just been interesting to see Carson kind of coming up in this way. But I also don't really think that he's capable from what we've seen. I don't really know the guy, but from what we saw of him on TV anyway, he doesn't seem like the type of guy to screw somebody over. But I don't know.
yeah, I don't really have a follow-up thought. I still, because I still kind of stand.
Yeah, it's hard to speak on something when there's no like concrete.
Yeah, because even blocking them like that, you want to say like I feel like you were kind of painting that in a way to make it sound as if this kind of gives Outplay a little bit more steam in the carriage here, but like I'm not really sure that it does.
I mean, for all we know, Outplay was harassing Carson, and that's why.
Right, and maybe it just feels uncomfortable. Like, you know what? Yeah, I was kind of down with that. We were brainstorming before. I'm not interested in that anymore, so I'm blocking you.
Yeah, I could totally see a scenario where Carson goes to meet with this company or this person, whoever runs the company, and they start talking about the potential of a partnership, and maybe that person walked away thinking, "Oh, this is going to happen," but Carson didn't really feel that way. Maybe he just thought like this was an informational learning experience for me, and I want to use it to start my own business. Like we don't really know what was said. The only reason, like I said, that I brought it up was that it seemed to gain traction. This wasn't just a Twitter thread or a Twitter beef that got some attention from people on social media. This became like an actual article. That's why. That's the only reason I wanted to bring it up and mention it to you guys. So, Matt here says Carson got a lot of flack for selling merch before 44 began. There's a player from AU who called him out. Matt says it's one thing to sell pillows with your face and another to steal ideas from someone. So, but yeah, we may never know the true answer to what happened here, but Yeah, Outplay Puzzles and Carson, they both have a business. So if you like Survivor puzzles, go check them out.
Not you
All right.
promoting both businesses.
It's the only way to find peace. All right. I think that's all I got. You guys got anything else
I don't think so.
to add for the benefit of the community? Okay. What do we have coming up this Thursday at 8 p.m., right? We'll be talking BB Can 12, 8 p.m. Eastern. Is that right?
9:30.
Oh, so okay, we're doing
9:30.
Challenge All Stars 4 first. Okay, I got the order wrong. So so later this week, Thursday, we will be talking Challenge All Stars 4 at 8 p.m. and we'll be following that up with our coverage of the latest week in the BB Can 12 house at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, and then we'll be back next Monday, again at 9 p.m. Eastern, to discuss the latest season of Survivor 46. That's what we have coming up. So find us on the socials at Strat Chat Pod. You can find us everywhere. Leave us a nice review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we will be back with you soon. Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Oh wait.
Lido. What do you got,
Yes,
Kyle?
Kyle?
No, we're supposed to have a special guest on Thursday as well. Still need to confirm, for Thursday for BB Can, but pretty sure one of the girly pops will be joining us for that.
I forgot.
Right. More information, to come. So check the socials. Extra reason to be following us at Strat Chat Pod.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Kyle.
Yes, yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Just wait.
All right. Well, we'll see you soon, everybody.
Yeah.